pull that, but it's not a giant engine there that's propelling this forward. And it is quite a sight to see, I will say, on the 405. One of those things, we're looking at the name of this. This is called Top Dog Limousine, or Top Dog Limo Bus. And apparently this is a limo company that's...
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a limo company that's out of the San Diego area. I'm not sure if they do rent some of those buses here in LA, but Top Dog Limo Bus, apparently one of those party buses, and a fancy one at that. Where is it now, Stu?
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things right now is we're making our way down the pass out here. That's the 405. So, you know, those are, now it's basically a lot of, you know, they always have those signs, watch your speed. Vehicles basically start moving very, very quickly. I haven't heard an update of that speed on this, on that party bus, but they were talking 75, maybe looking out the window, looking at other traffic, probably about 80 or so. What is interesting, though, you know, Justin's got that super tight shot, is a lot of folks in the carpool lane are getting out of the way. So the lights and sirens from the California Highway Patrol, probably enough to get these folks' attention. You can see another vehicle. Oh, the bus is actually changing lanes right now as well. It looks like no, we're not going to be transitioning because he missed that transition. Right now, it looks like he's getting far over to the right, maybe choosing an off-ramp up here. Again, though, pursuit's been going on for some time. There is a possibility. It's just a possibility that that driver might not have noticed or heard the lights and sirens. I'm just kind of throwing things out there. You know, he's got rear view mirrors. I'm sure he saw those reds and blues in his back, you know, behind him. But it looks like he just kind of got out of the carpool lane, now established in the middle, slowing down some, which is a good sign. Every time these vehicles slow down, you just, like I said, with something like this, you just don't want to see it end poorly. You don't want to see a big vehicle like that colliding with a car and or anything else, you know, even injuring the driver inside that bus. And as far as we know, that's what we were doing just moments ago, trying to look in through that front windshield just to see what we could see, just grab a gander. And, you know, the only thing we can confirm is, you know, the obvious. There's just the driver. Right now, though, doesn't look like he's pulling over. That was just wishful thinking. This pursuit continuing, make its way into the Van Nuys area, past Burbank Boulevard, and the speeds seem to be picking up again. Traffic, it's about what you see right there. It's going to be moderate. I would say moderate. It's a lot of cars, but they're all moving at or above freeway speeds. Welcome to California. And, you know, there you go. It's just making its way. Right now, California Highway Patrol, they've been switching it out like we've talked about before. Came into a different division. But those officers, they continue on. One of them staying, and right now being joined by other officers from the West Valley area.
All right. This is a limo bus from Top Dog Limo Bus. Getting a look out on their website, Stu, and I'm seeing that it's a Ford F550, I believe. You can have up to 25 passengers on here. So a look at the view inside a bus like this, and it simply has all those leather or pleather seats all around, you know, with the center of the bus being kind of empty, and then a lot of the glassware and the barware all around the exterior of it. It's kind of got the neon lights inside, so it was one of those true party buses that you would see that people would use for birthday parties, anniversary parties, bachelor parties, that sort of thing. And now it's on a pursuit here on the 405 freeway. We're talking about speeds of up to 80 miles per hour, Stu?
Well, it was at 80. Now we've dropped down to actually 65. Just now I heard them talking, calling it out. They said they're actually established at 65 miles an hour. You know, maybe that driver, I've said it before, maybe he's just thinking, oh, I'll just play it cool, start, you know, following the rules here, and they'll just back off. But speed wasn't the reason why they tried to pull this thing over. It came up as a stolen vehicle, and that leads to a bunch of questions. Does that person behind the wheel understand what he's driving? Like you said, this is a big vehicle loaded down with a lot of accessories. You know, it can take up to 25 people. I'm hoping it's just the driver in there. But does this person understand or know about the vehicle he's driving? That seems to be one of the big questions for me. So that gives you an idea that, you know, maybe he is familiar with it. Maybe it's a disgruntled employee. Who knows? I mean, we could go through a list of things. But stolen is what it is. And, you know, California Highway Patrol, they're kind of tasked with, all right, okay, this vehicle vehicle stolen. You know, we want to pull it over. We want to get that driver into custody. But how do you stop that? How are you going to stop this thing right now? You know, spike strips. You know, that'd probably be the first thing most viewers would say at home is just throw some spike strips. But you're driving on the freeway. The freeways are packed. How are you going to get that vehicle separated enough where you can actually deploy those spike strips? Pit maneuver? It might be possible, not at these speeds, that's for sure. It's kind of a misnomer, Bobby, about the size, you know, because it's going to be so big. The reality is that, you know, that the pit probably could be, you know, done with a vehicle that size. It's just the speeds have to be slower. Maybe he's got to be on a turn, a little bit of physics. Don't ask me, I'm just a guy in a helicopter, but it can be done. But right now, the only thing they can do is kind of warn the public, like, hey, this guy could be dangerous. Lights and sirens are on. They're just behind him.
I've never seen a pit maneuver done on something that large before. And like I said, you're talking about physics, but you imagine something as top-heavy as something like this, it would not necessarily spin out. It might even tip over if it was done at a particular speed. Just curious, though, like, you know, we've covered different pursuits and drivers have been somewhat erratic. This pursuit, it's unusual, but this driver pretty much is on a straight track here on the 405. Yeah. Hasn't really the driver really hasn't made wild maneuvers, so to speak. And I would imagine that if this was a party bus that was stolen from, let's say, one of their yards, it's hard to miss, right? I mean, this is a bus that's in an inventory, and if you see something's missing, perhaps it was already reported stolen.
Well, you know, Bobby, it's interesting that you're reading our minds. This is what I love working with the family here at Fox. You know, you talk about that. We just got information from this California Highway Patrol helicopter how this thing was found. Apparently, the owner of the company was the one that tracked it down and was actually following it, got a hold of California Highway Patrol, said, hey, my bus is right here, you know, it is stolen, it's been reported stolen, come and get it, and was waiting, or that guy might actually still be trailing behind because speeds were not so excessive. But that's how this vehicle got found on the 405, and like you said, started, you know, could have most likely came from San Diego. This vehicle seems to be on a mission, like you said. Looks like we're going to be going northbound on the 405. We've been staying north. He's got a couple of options, but in the lanes he's in, it looks like 405 is going to be where we're going to stay for a little bit. This takes us onto the 5. Maybe he had a plan to go up north somewhere. We just don't know. Right now, I can tell you, California Highway Patrol, they're behind it. Confirmed stolen vehicle. Like you said, thank goodness, not dangerous. This guy's not changing lanes or being very aggressive. But again, it's that, how do you stop this thing? How do you get that driver possibly to change their minds and pull over, opposed to just continuing on? And you know, something else, I'm not. Our Google, let's just be honest, don't have enough internet to go to Google right now. But I'm kind of wondering if a bus like that has the ability to have extended tanks. So maybe this thing can just keep going and going and going. This is, you know, possibly all the way up to San Francisco without running out of fuel. Right now,
to steal your line, Stu, this is why I like working for the Fox family, because we're getting more information here. You know, Maria was sitting here just saying, well, how much gas does this have? So
yeah, this is big.
We did, as you said, we went on the Google, and we noticed that so all of their fleet is basically out of San Diego. It's in the downtown San Diego area. They do San Diego brew tours. They do wine tours. The hourly rate for something like this, about $150 an hour for this for a 15 to 20 passenger party bus of this size. And you would imagine if this was stolen from one of their yards in San Diego, they've already driven that long drive from the San Diego area all the way up here to the LA area. So perhaps the owner saw it and has been following it this entire time. But you have to wonder if this driver has not made any sort of a stop, and no doubt it's towing something, the engine's pulling something very heavy here. How much gas is in the tank here? How long can this go?
Right, you know, and right now he's driving extremes. He's picking up his speed a little bit. There was this area right here, a little bit of an uphill grade, going to be more of an uphill grade here in just a moment or two. Got some information from our assignment desk saying that most likely that vehicle has a 100-gallon tank. I'm going to work with Angie here for just a second. It is behind us. It just transitioned onto the 5. So, you know, these are things that we're thinking about. Also, it's probably, I'm guessing, it's a diesel, something that big is a diesel. So, again, we just don't know who's in there, why this is going on. That's also the big curiosity. You know, who took this vehicle, who that driver is. And, you know, California Highway Patrol, these guys really good at their jobs, and you know, it almost sounds like, you know, I'm poking fun at them, but I'm not. They are excellent at their jobs, and you know, there is some sort of plan coming up. I'm just letting you people know, because in the past when I've basically called out what's going on, I've been called out myself. People are saying, oh, he's letting them know. I really hope he's sitting down there watching us right now, maybe on some app, you know, being safe while driving. But you know, the reality is probably he is not. So we can talk about things like that, but they are making a plan. They're not just there right now. It isn't just we're going to follow them, and they're making their way. This is going to be, we're established on the 5 freeway now, coming up to the Newhall Pass, 210 freeway coming up as well. But it does seem like you know, he is kind of hanging over there. He could jump onto the 210 at the last moment, but it seems like he's determined to go north, seeing how he came from San Diego. So my guess, staying on the 5, we're going to be coming up through the Newhall Pass. He has that 14 choice coming up as well. But right now, better than freeway speeds is what I can say. That vehicle is moving along at a good clip. We haven't seen him make any dangerous lane changes. And California Highway Patrol, they're making their presence known. So that you can see one of those officers kind of off to the side, another one right behind it. And I believe that that plan is basically to kind of let that driver know that, you know, you have several officers back here and we want you to pull over. You know, it's one of those command presence type of situations. But that driver, Justin was telling me, seemed to look very relaxed behind the wheel, one hand on the wheel, just kind of driving along this afternoon. And again, now definitely starting to hit a grade, so you might see that thing slow down a little bit. But continuing northbound, California Highway Patrol, they got their hands full, but they are making some plans, and hopefully they'll be able to execute them, and we'll see how that goes.
I'm surprised, though, Bob, because these are, like, they're really new party buses, and as Stu was saying, like, the owner's probably tracking it. Mm-hmm. If they pulled back a little bit, I'm sure they'd know where it was going to go, right, end up.
Yeah. It's stolen, so maybe this person just doesn't know where he is going. He's just deciding to keep driving north. But I would imagine, Stu, that this could actually I know you say that they're
14.
Going on to 14 now.
I'm sorry, guys.
That this might actually, you're saying that they're going to perhaps do something or take some action here, but maybe the best course of action is to do nothing if this is the least amount of danger that the driver could be giving to people on the roadway, just to pull back and let the gas run out if right. The driver's not driving erratically and you know, not doing too many sort of traffic infractions, right? I mean, if it was driving on surface streets, then certainly we'd be talking about a much different situation.
Well, you know, right now I can tell you that you made a quick change right there, got onto the 14 freeway. California Highway Patrol, they've got to switch it up a little bit. We've talked about this in the past, just like all law enforcement. California Highway Patrol have areas and divisions, as it would be, that they patrol. The 14 is going to put them in the Newhall, or put them with Newhall, so they're going to be changing up some of those cars. I can see one of them really making a move down there, trying to kind of catch up and fall into place. And maybe even pass. Yep, that guy's is passing. So that might be one of the vehicles that might have that plan that we talked about going on. So he's probably going to try to make his way well ahead of what you see right there. Right now, though, the pursuit continues down there, and they're just the only thing they can do right now is follow along, kind of warn the public. The vehicle moving a little faster than freeway speeds. This part of the 14 downhill, so you got gravity working for them. But it's, you know, as we make our way into the Santa Clarita area, it's going to really, you know, you're going to have to start climbing. So gas mileage is going to go down. I heard him say that, you know, newer bus. It does. It looks like a brand new or almost new vehicle. So again, just keep an eye on it right now. Also kind of wondering, is it just the driver in there? Are there other people in there? How are the officers going to treat this situation when this thing comes to an end? How are they going to clear that bus? Are they going to have to? So those things are kind of interesting as well, how they're going to handle all that stuff when this thing comes to a stop.
All right, we are continuing to follow this. We're going to be back on it in just a couple of seconds here. We want to let you know, if you're just joining us, stick with us because the shot will come right back on. We're looking at a pursuit of a party bus that came out of, we believe, the San Diego area. There's the picture now. We're trying to adjust our picture here. As we go through some of these canyon and mountainous areas, we do lose the picture periodically, but we are going to stay on it. This is Top Dog Limo is where the bus is registered. There's certainly some of the signage that is on the side of the limo bus. It's a bus that is for tours. On the website, it talks about winery and beer tours for about 20 to 25 people. And this was a bus that was reported stolen by the owner, we believe, on the freeway. The owner was following the party bus on the freeway and then called the CHP, called police, and there was a pursuit. So we believe that this is a party bus and a pursuit that originated in San Diego. The bus registered to a company that is based in downtown, near the downtown San Diego area, and now we're looking at a pursuit that went all the way up to 405 and now is on the 14 freeway headed toward the Santa Clarita area. Stu, do we still have you?
He's changing lanes. I thought he was going to get off the freeway.
Stu, do we still have you? Okay, we're gonna.
Thank you for that. We have some audio issues up here right now. This is our location. Bobby, I'm sorry. I love the chat. I love the conversation and the throw back and forth. But right now, unable to do that because of the FM radios. I can tell you though, this vehicle continues to move. We were kind of hopeful that because he was way over in the right lane there for a little bit, and was kind of hopeful maybe he's just going to get off the freeway. It seems to be one of those chases where there's a destination. This driver has an idea where he or she wants to take that vehicle. We understand it started somewhere down in San Diego. The owner of the actual bus, or the company, was the one that located the vehicle, got a hold of California Highway Patrol. That was somewhere in the Mar Vista area, and then that's where we picked it up as well, and this thing has just been continuing northbound. We were on the 405, we were on the 5, now we're on the 14, technically still the Santa Clarita area, but the bus itself just kind of driving, as we've been saying. It isn't anything crazy dramatic. We haven't seen the vehicle cut anybody off. We haven't seen anything like that. California Highway Patrol, you know, they're behind them. The lights and sirens are going, and it seems to be working. At least it's notifying the public. We've been watching people do the right thing, kind of make their way slowly off to the right when they hear those sirens coming. But that bus, well, it's not stopping. And there's a vehicle there on the side of the road, a California Highway Patrol, and there he goes. Oh! I don't know if we actually saw that, but he definitely did throw the spike strips out there. What a toss. I mean, that was what, 8, 16... 24 feet at least. He tossed that spike strip out to try to get it in front of the bus there. I'm not sure if it made contact. I was looking out the window. Justin's on our camera this afternoon. I really couldn't see that if they did. Justin, you think he hit it? Okay, so at any rate, he did make that toss. It looked like it got in front of it, but I don't know if they were deployed properly. We'll see pretty soon. We've talked about this in the past. Those spike strips, it isn't like in the movies. The tire isn't going to blow out and, you know, shred and stuff like that. They're basically little nails that are hollow, and they get stuck up into the tire, and they just let that air out slowly, so that tire deflates slowly, so the driver, you know, he's gonna realize he has a flat tire. It isn't exactly a blowout, but we're gonna keep an eye on the vehicle continuing northbound. Sand Canyon, the next stop up here, but it does almost seem, I don't know if it's the grade. I'm hoping it's a flat tire, but it does seem like that vehicle's slowing down as we're making our way northbound, 14 freeway, passing Sand Canyon on a grade.
Well,
Bobby?
Only time will tell whether or not that spike strip attempt was successful. I would think that we would start seeing some air come out of the tires as we speak right now if that was in fact successful. So maybe perhaps not, but That was quite brave, I would say, for the CHP or whatever agency was trying to attempt that spike strip and putting it there on the freeway, for a vehicle to be traveling at that high rate of speed and to try to throw a spike strip right in front of a moving vehicle is in and of itself very brave and risky, I would think, for them to try to attempt something like that. But perhaps they thought that was the best avenue to go to at this point, with this driver not showing any signs of stopping. But it's interesting. I don't think that was successful, Stu. You would think that we would start to see something right now, or at least this party bus slow.
A helicopter.
All right, Stu's continuing to follow this. The party bus is also contacting or listening to some of the other air traffic that's in the area. If you're just joining us right now, this is the Fox 11 News at noon. We started with this pursuit and are still on it some 20 minutes later. This is a pursuit that we believe started in the San Diego area. This is a party bus that was reported stolen, we believe, by the owner of the party bus company called Top Dog Party Limos or Party Buses. It is a company that rents out these party buses. This one about 40 feet long. It could fit about 20 to 25 people in it. And you might imagine it just has those plush leather or pleather seats in it for a bunch of people to sit around in and have a good time. Well, someone has stolen this bus, and this was apparently reported by the owner in the San Diego area, who had been following the party bus and called it into the CHP and to law enforcement, and then the pursuit was on. This driver has not stopped since. The pursuit went on to the 405, and now we're looking at the 14 freeway. Just a few moments ago, we did see that the CHP attempted to stop the vehicle using spike strips that was thrown across the freeway, and it's still unclear whether or not that was successful. Although, as I said, by now you would think that we would see a little bit of a slowing here for this party bus, so perhaps that was not a successful toss by the officer. Perhaps it's something that they will perhaps they're going to attempt this again. We're going to bring in a police specialist, Dennis Zine, former police officer, former city councilman, to weigh in on what he's seeing right here. Dennis, to try and throw those spike strips, I was saying, across the 14 freeway there, that is quite risky, I would say. You know, when a car or a vehicle of this size is traveling at that high rate of a speed. You ever seen anything like that?
Not this type. I've seen a number of vehicles, and I've been involved in a number of pursuits. Nothing like this. Have they verified there are no passengers other than the individual that stole the bus?
We have no verification at all. All we could see now at this point through our eyes on Skyfox is the driver himself. But as I said, this is a vehicle that is intended to carry 20 to 25 people. I'm sure you could shove more in there. So we're really not sure whether or not there's anybody else inside the bus.
See, that'd be my first concern. If there's any passengers, if it's just a stolen bus, that's one issue with the individual that stole it. But if there's passengers, obviously, ultimate concern for their safety. If it's just the driver who stole the bus in, obviously in pursuit by the California Patrol, but that's a consideration. Make sure that there are no passengers, unwilling participants on that. But this is unusual. But we've seen the spike strips used on large vehicles, sometimes trucks, large trucks. It's possible on a freeway at that speed. It's not recommended. You want to have a safe speed when you employ the spike strips, and the speed of this particular bus is really excessive as far as the utilization of the spike strips. So I would say no as far as this situation. Then there are other vehicles. Obviously, traffic is very light on this freeway at this time, but concern about public safety. The big concern that they have now in pursuits is public safety. You'll terminate the pursuit. You'll track whatever you can do to make sure that people are safe. That's ultimate concern. Pursuits, yesteryear, you didn't have that concern. Now that's a major concern, the population, the traffic on the roadway, pedestrians, etc. Here we don't have anything pedestrians. We don't have cross traffic. Simply you've got that. So they can run this until it runs out of gas. Often we've seen, and you and I've seen many of these pursuits that go on for a long, long period of time until they do run out of gas and then they surrender. So what we have here is open roadway. The stolen bus is traveling at what I would consider not an unreasonable speed. Obviously, passing vehicles but it's not an unreasonable speed. And those vehicles do have a tendency not to tap out at a large miles per hour. I think we've got the CHP in pursuit on this also. Their air unit.
You know, it's interesting because I brought that up to Stu Mendel earlier that this driver is not necessarily driving erratically. You know, we've covered many a pursuit where the driver is an extreme danger to other drivers on the roadway, or if this was on a surface street and we were dealing with pedestrians and families on streets, something that was near schools. But this driver, you know, perhaps the party bus is going at speeds over the speed limit, but not in excess of, let's say, you know, 80, 90 miles per hour. So with an open road like this, you would think that the strategy would be just to stick with it. And mind you, Dennis, this is a party bus that we believe comes out of San Diego. We don't know how much gas is in the tank, but it did come up from San Diego, and it just driving this long distance, it probably already burned a good amount of gas.
I would say it would burn a number of gallons. It probably gets maybe 7, 8 miles per gallon. Large vehicles like that, like a motorhome, they don't get many miles per gallon. They do have large tanks. I doubt if that would be able to go from San Diego to San Francisco. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does run out of fuel. Obviously, passing vehicles is probably going in the 70-mile-an-hour range. I would assume we're in that vicinity, 70, 75 miles per hour on that roadway. But that roadway is obviously clear. The advantage on this particular situation is you don't have cross traffic, you got light traffic, no pedestrians, no bicycles. So it's a safer environment as far as that vehicle that's leaving, that's trying to avoid capture. But there's no place to hide. It's not like they can run into a parking lot and jump out and conceal themselves. I mean, they're out in the open area right now. There's no place to conceal. So either run out of gas or surrender are the two options that we see at this particular time. They're not going to do a pit maneuver on something like this.
Yeah, we want to let our viewers know that we're going to stick with this as long as we can. We are going through some mountains and passes as we enter the Antelope Valley area. Sometimes the signal can be a little spotty over there, so if we kind of like cut in and cut out, we will stay with this as long as we can. So just bear with us as we continue to watch this party bus pursuit. It really interesting here, Dennis, as we're watching this party bus. We were saying that this is a bus that normally would, you know, they take this on wine country tours and beer tours, probably in the Justin area and Temecula, those sort of areas. It can hold about 20 to 25 people. And now it is on this pursuit. We don't know who is behind the wheel right now. We have Officer, I'm sorry, with the CHP. Could you tell us who I'm talking to here?
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, my name is Officer Gonzalez with the California Highway Patrol.
Hi, Officer Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us. What can you tell us so far, what we know about this pursuit? Where did this start? And do we know who this is behind the wheel?
Yes, so at this time, the only information that we have is that this limo bus was actually stolen from the San Diego area, and that's when we took over the pursuit.
Okay, and the pursuit was taken over once it crossed the Los Angeles County line, or when does that happen? Was the San Diego County authorities on this at first?
Yes, so we received a call from the reporting party, and that's when we, took over the pursuit. And it was in San Diego area, and they have entered LA County, so this is the reason why we're involved in the pursuit. Mm-hmm.
And what can you tell us about what the officers are doing now? We did see a spike strip that was thrown across the roadway, and also we saw one of your helicopters, one of the California Highway Patrol helicopters overhead. What can you tell us about what's being done here, or what perhaps might be the strategy here to as we watch this party bus continue on?
Yeah, at this point, we don't know how many, if there's any passengers in the back of the bus. We don't even have any information on the driver. We just know that, it's stolen, so we do want to make sure that, the public is safe and the actual driver is safe as well. So, spike strip was a technique that we used, but we do want the bus, to come to complete stop at a reasonable speed, so that's why we use a spike strip.
Often people wonder if there's any communication with the driver. Do you have any information about any communication that they may have with the driver? I mean, that would be perhaps one of the easiest things, is to try to negotiate with the driver to have them come to a safe stop on the shoulder there.
Yeah, actually, at this point, we don't have any information on the driver. The only information that we do have is that the reporting party contacted us, so that's why we got involved in this pursuit, and we're following the bus right now.
And just really quickly, officer, what would you say to other drivers that were on the roadway? Because you know, it's often alarming when you see something like this, and obviously we live in Southern California, we're used to seeing unusual things, but to see a party bus kind of creep along your way, and then obviously there are other black and whites, other of your units in pursuit there. What's the message out there to the general public?
Absolutely. We just want the public to know that, you know, our officers are trained professional. They're trained professionals, sorry. So we just, you know, we want the public to know that they've had extensive training in this, and if the public is encountered in a pursuit, we just want them to remain calm. You know, sometimes we just want our drivers to move over to the right. So if they hear the lights and sirens behind them, just slowly move over to the right. Make your actions known and make sure that, yeah, they just move over slowly to the right.
Some very good advice. All right.
And they also signal before changing lanes.
Of course, always signal. Officer, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We're going to go back up to Stu Mundell and Sky Fox. He's got an eye on this. Stu.
Bobby, we've been watching. There was another chance for another spike strip, and they just didn't do it. The officers decided probably it was a little too dangerous, or there was something that caused them not to. So that was over there at Sierra Highway, at the 14 northbound Sierra Highway. Acton is where we are. Crown Valley is coming up, is going to be the next off-ramp. You know, that party bus at one time, you have to excuse me, I haven't had the luxury of hearing you earlier on, almost came to a stop there on the 14 for a moment or two. We thought maybe something had happened or the vehicle had conked out, but it just kind of really came to an almost stop and then continued down on the northbound 14 freeway. You know, the California Highway Patrol, they're doing what they can to track this vehicle. I heard one of the officers calling in and giving the information that they had, and they were talking about that, and I was listening in best I could at that point about, you know, the actual owner. I think that is an interesting part of this whole dynamic, that the owner was the one that actually was tracking it and said, hey, this is where my bus is, you know, can you come and try to stop it? Right now, though, that driver just continues to drive. I would almost guess, now this is, you know, again, this is how you can be wrong, is when you just start throwing out guesses, is that I have a feeling that that driver knows what they're doing, possibly somebody that's driven a vehicle like that before, because we haven't seen anything too erratic except for that decision at the last moment to take the 14. The bus itself been basically staying at little better than freeway speeds. That's a great shot right there, Justin, showing the California Highway Patrol helicopter above of it, and talking to the officers down there on the ground. Same type of deal like Sky Fox. They're going to kind of just keep with it and relay information to the officers, and if they need something, like what's going on ahead, things like that, that helicopter will take care of it. And if they actually need it at the end, that we've seen it in the past, that helicopter will land where it is safe, and an officer will get out to actually conduct or help in conducting an arrest. Right now, though, this one just seems to be a slow-moving party bus. This vehicle moving along right here, it has been an uphill grade the entire time, so whatever gas mileage that vehicle or diesel, you know, it was getting, it's going to be a little bit worse, and hopefully they just didn't have that thing filled up when it was taken, because these, you know, how do you stop something like that? Yes, they're using spike strips. There was one actual attempt, and then a second one where they kind of just aborted it at the last moment, not really sure why. But you know, we talked about doing the pit. They're not going to do it on the freeway. They're not going to do it when speeds are up this high. And, you know, that vehicle itself, you know, like you said, it's big, it's heavy, it's lumbering is probably a good word for it. But, you know, in the end, it's the driver. That's, you know, that vehicle isn't going on its own. The driver's driving it. That's the person making the decisions. Right now, that person's making a decision not to stop, and it just continues on. There's another California Highway Patrol vehicle, and this is the thing, too. I don't think that one is actually going to do any kind of pit maneuver just where it's located on the freeway. A lot of these officers, they're out here patrolling. I'm sure they want to get involved in this chase, but, you know, they've got a different job to do. Actually, it's on the go, so they're probably switching off. It's probably another officer taking somebody else's spot. But again, you know, this is just going to go till it stops. I know that sounds almost like, you know, I'm trying to be funny or poking fun at it, but it's the truth with this one. That's a big vehicle. They can try to get those spike strips ahead of it. The driver's the one that's going to make that decision to bring it to an end. But right now, that driver just continuing to go and go. He's going to enjoy his last couple of moments of freedom, because when this is over, he's going to go in handcuffs, and hopefully he's going to go in the back of a police car and nothing else. Right now, though, this is just continuing on a little better than freeway speeds. We're making our way into Palmdale. Going to start some downhill, so whatever he lost in gas mileage, he might gain here in a little bit. Bobby?
Well, the farther this driver goes into the Palmdale, Lancaster area, and then beyond, perhaps even into the Mojave area. And again, we're telling you right now that we are cutting in and out of the video here because it does go through the canyons and the passes there, and our signal is quite spotty, but we will stick with it as much as possible. That the roads there are a lot more open, and so the CHP perhaps might just let that driver continue to drive on until the driver runs out of gas. The driver, we do know now that this pursuit started of this party bus started in the San Diego area. Let's bring Dennis Zine, police specialist, back in to talk a little bit more about this. At this point, Dennis, I don't believe those spike strips worked, obviously. You could almost tell that the driver had almost swerved away from the spike strips and perhaps saw that the CHP was trying to do this.
Well, what we have is the open area, so the driver's going to be able to see anything that takes place on the roadway, because you have you got great visibility. There's really no impediments. LAPD policy, they're not going to use a spike strip when it's excessive speed. And it appears that this vehicle is going 60-plus miles per hour.
And by the way, Dennis, let's point out, because we're off the freeway now, it looks like this driver decided to dump off on Pear Blossom Highway off the 14 freeway. So the driver is pulling off, and in certain situations like this, when we've seen in pursuits in the past, drivers being very erratic, this driver, for the most part, is following you know, not trying to pass or go around vehicles or anything like that. Certainly didn't stop for the stop sign there, but is not, you know, could certainly be driving in a more erratic way. I want to correct myself. The driver, I'm being told now, is on Sierra Highway off the 14 freeway, Dennis.
Yes, I've been on that road, and I've been on these party buses in the past. They're a fun bus, obviously. I hope there's no passengers other than the driver, because they'd be getting a very dangerous ride. What we see now is going on to open area. Again, you don't have a lot of impediments on the roadway other than the traffic and a lot of truck traffic up in that particular area. So you've got the desolate area. Again, there's no place to hide. There's no buildings and parking lots, et cetera. You're in a pretty open area. And what we'll find is this continues a little more populated than we saw on the freeway as this vehicle continues. Now, Stu above on Skyfox has a great view of what's going on, but this will continue. Hopefully they'll run out of gas. That'll be the simple solution. CHP officers will change. They'll go to different areas, different zones, and you'll see different changes taking place where one team, the team from San Diego, I'm sure, was no longer involved in it. So they've got other areas from Los Angeles and now in the Antelope Valley area. But they got different segments, different areas that they cover, and they will spin off to another division of the California Patrol. Obviously, they have jurisdiction throughout the state, but this is a typical CHP situation where they've got the resources, and they will just change off as they go further up into the other area. Again, you see the territory.
Whoa! And then there was the party bus then rear-ended a vehicle there. We believe this is on Sierra Highway.
Sierra Highway.
And certainly the party bus comes to a stop. We can only hope that the vehicle that was rear-ended, that the people inside that vehicle are okay, and looks like that other vehicle comes to a stop on the other side of the roadway. We do have a number of police units surrounding the party bus right now, but the party bus has come to a stop, and we're going to stick with it right here. Stu Mendel and Skyfox. Stu, what an end to that right there.
Well, you know, it's one of those situations where I am always kind of torn on really how to report this. That was a pretty solid hit to that back of that vehicle that you saw there, that little silver car. That little silver car kind of sitting by itself, wrong side of the road. Other folks on Sierra Highway seem to know what's going on, but other vehicles are kind of coming up to it right now. And what's going on right now is the driver's door is open, so I'm thinking that that driver's just going to kind of give himself up after realizing what just happened here. Don't know why that really happened. I mean, that all the vehicles were moving, you know, along at a pretty good clip. You know, I'm keeping an eye on one. I'm looking out the window at that smashed car and looking at the driver going into custody right there. You know, there you go. That's one of those ones. I always hate to be the, you know, saying that. It does appear to be a female driver, and it looks like she is going into custody right now after that accident. But I'm really concerned about those folks in that car. You'd think that one of the California Highway Patrol or somebody from California Highway Patrol would get a vehicle over there just to say, hey, are you okay? But right now they're taking that driver into custody, that vehicle, that party bus. You know, it came to a stop probably because it couldn't go anymore. That female driver going into custody right now. And also, there's a lot of other civilians down there by that other vehicle. Nobody's checking on that person at all. It's right there. You went past it. It's the one that's sitting. Keep going up, keep going up, keep right there, that one. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like nobody has kind of made their way over there. Somebody has. I just noticed somebody has. There are people from that white truck. So, you know, look at that car. That trunk completely gone. That was a pretty hard hit. Hopefully they're going to be okay. That driver of the party bus in custody right now. California Highway Patrol, they have to clear that vehicle. But I really hope they have at least made a call for an ambulance, and maybe some of the responding officers will make their way down there to see if that civilian, if it's just that person by themselves, is okay. The person from the pickup truck making their way back over to that civilian's vehicle right now. Just, you know, and that's the thing. Even if they are okay and it just was like a hard hit, you just want to say, are you okay? You know, we just don't know. But right now, the party is over, and you can see those officers making their way over to that vehicle. They have to clear it. We've seen this on all the pursuits. This one a little bigger, a little more unusual. But again, what a shame of an ending out here with that party bus just rear-ending some poor civilian this afternoon on Sierra Highway out here in the Palmdale area.
You said it, Stu. The party is over. And wow, what an impact that was. First of all, I should say that when we took a look at the other vehicle that was hit and rear-ended, it did appear that the person inside was moving. That is a very good sign. Also, it did appear that the airbags had deployed as well, so we do know that the impact was really strong. And if you think about it, the party bus, you know, this is a very large vehicle, and moving at that rate of speed, and the impact so hard that the front end of that entire party bus had been smashed in the way it is and then came to a stop. But that female driver now taken into custody there. We can only hope that the car that was rear-ended and all the passengers that were, the driver and the passengers that may have been inside that other vehicle are going to be okay. Very interesting. Stu, I don't know if you can hear me, but we had been talking about that this driver, for the most part, did not seem that erratic, and for it to end this way just goes to show that no matter what, pursuits can be very, very dangerous in any situation.
Very dangerous indeed, and we, you know, anytime it ends with something with, you know, anybody hurt, it is always tragic. Hopefully, and you know, we know that there's no loss of life here, but the driver of that vehicle, thank goodness some of these motorcycle officers made their, one of them at least, went over there to make sure that that driver is okay. You know, and that is really important to see that. There's communication going on right there. You can see the driver of the vehicle talking. So these are all huge pluses, but you can see what a hard hit that was. I mean, the entire back of that car, the trunk area completely gone. The party bus damaged to the point where it can't go anymore. Probably took out the radiator and etc. But you know, it's just sad. And for what? That's the big thing. Is like, I'm always really curious. I get asked that all the time, and it's so hard to find out. But why? why did that person take that bus? Why did we all go on this ride with them? And to have it end with something like that. I'm still watching over at the party bus. The drivers definitely in custody. Officers are walking around Sierra Highway. That's going to be a little bit of a different thing. They're probably going to get this cleared shortly, but I would say probably, no movement east or west out here until they have at least those vehicles off the roadway. And I do know that County Fire has been called, but we're in a spot right now that it's not that convenient for them. It's going to be a minute or two before paramedics make their way over here.
Maybe we find out. Maybe we find out in the end, Stu, the why in this situation. You have to wonder with that female driver, as you said, did she know how to drive that party bus? Had she driven it before? And it certainly was likely not random that the owner of the party bus company, who called the CHP and called the authorities, just randomly saw his own party bus vehicle on the freeway. He probably was in pursuit of it himself, knowing that this vehicle had just left the yard or was missing from his company. We do want to show you again the end of this pursuit. It ended in a very dramatic fashion. You'll see it right here as this party bus slams into the rear of that vehicle. This is a 40-foot party bus. Don't know what speed that was in, but this was on Sierra Highway there in the Antelope Valley, and the female driver did get arrested, was taken into custody, and we do not know the condition of the person or persons inside that other vehicle. But a real dramatic end to all of this. We can only hope that those people are okay. We are going to continue to follow up on that pursuit there that started in San Diego, ended in the Antelope Valley, and as soon as we get more information about it, we will bring it to you. We do have other news to talk about today. The day's other big news story is the weather. We're talking about bundling up. The coldest storm of the winter season so far is now headed our way, and meteorologist Maria Quban has the timeline on when this storm will hit. Maria.
Yeah, it's basically here. It is not a moisture-filled storm. We kind of talked about how it wasn't going to bring us too much rain, but definitely snow will be the story. This is one of our live cameras. I don't know if you can tell here. I believe this is Mount Wilson. Really fogged in, right? Clouds over Mount Wilson, the higher elevations getting all the weather right now with this cold winter storm. You can see it on our satellite radar pictures. Very spotty showers, really light drizzle. I think that pursuit would have had a different ending had we had a more traditional storm and had that cold front move through here with some heavier rain. But all of the precipitation, most of it anyway, is up in our mountain locations in the foothill community.